a special edition of the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, the top performers of the week. Now, I do have on the boys' side, rather, I do have at 7 o'clock, but for the 6:30 edition, I do have the senior guard from Simsbury. Pleased to have Ellie Mcelroy. Ellie, thanks so much for being able to come on.
Thanks for having me.
First and foremost, how are things with you and your family?
We're doing great. I mean, we're doing the best we can with the COVID situation. I'm happy that they can come to a few of my games, and that just means so much to me in my senior season to have them watching. But they're doing good. Thank you.
That's the most important thing, and it's also great to hear that at least some fans, parents and such can go, because I know in certain districts and such, it's not the same thing. I know I've done a couple games already broadcasting where fans are not allowed. Coaches,
Yeah,
players, a couple media, and that's it.
exactly. It's crazy.
But hey, again, like I said, happy to hear that the family as well. Now let's get down to why I have you on. Now, before we talk about what you've been doing this season, as far as the elongated off season, how was that for you? Because I know from mid-October on, there was talk about basketball maybe not even being played until right till the very end. So how did you train up until that point?
I mean, it was really difficult because ever since I started playing, which was, kindergarten, first grade, basketball's been such a constant sport for me. It's been year round, always getting reps up, being able to play with people, play pickup, play AAU, all that. So just with COVID, it was so hard, but it was a good chance to get myself in better shape, even without basketball, because now that has helped so much with basketball. We were able to have a fall league for a little bit, which was good. And even in the last game, we got to play with mass, which was good to be introduced with that.
Mhm.
But a lot of it was just being creative with what we could do. The limit was having 4 kids together for a while. So me, my sister, and 2 other underclassmen would go out and play in December in the middle of winter. And, there was some snow on the court and it was freezing, but it was all about just getting ready for the season and staying in the mode of once we get a season, it's go time.
Do you think during the summer or probably even before the summer, during the springtime when the pandemic was starting to happen, and the pandemic, for people who may not know, if anybody's been living under a rock, is COVID-19. As far as because of the gyms and everything being closed, what kind of workouts did you have to invent, certain workouts because you couldn't, you didn't have the tools to do like squatting and such like that?
It was a lot of cardio, running when you could, practicing running with a mask. It was a lot of in your garage, just getting a ball and dribbling and practicing, your ball handling skills. I'm lucky enough to have a hoop so I could get some shots up, but it was a lot of just adjusting and coming up with new things, which was so different for me, but it was a good experience.
And you mentioned wearing the mask, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I've talked to a couple players now that I've done 2 games for broadcasting as far as the radio side is concerned. And they mentioned to me how during their off season, even before the protocol came about where players had to wear masks, they were, like you said, wearing masks during the workouts to just in case if this is an option. Now, was that something that you were doing up until the point where they said, all right, players have to wear masks?
Yes. I mean, I tried to as best I could. Once COVID happened, I kind of knew it was going to be a long term thing. So I knew mass could become a thing of basketball. So I would probably do, I'd say half and half,
Mhm.
where I tried to figure out playing with a mask, but I also, took it off a couple times.
I don't blame you. I mean, I give everybody who's playing with a mask so much credit. I mean, working out in a mask, I need a couple minutes to be like, okay, got to breathe because I sometimes I see stars, and I can only imagine now that you've played a number of games. I'm sure you've had situations like that where it's like, I know you don't want to come out, but it's like I'm getting a little dizzy here.
It changes the game completely. And we have mass breaks now in games, which we've never had before. And communication is so hard because you got to be even louder on defense. So you're tired and you're trying to yell even louder that you got help or you got balls. So it definitely changes the game big time.
Now, once everything came about and the season was underway, and I'm talking about as far as the practices and such, how were they? Because I'm sure it took some adjustments for some of the players, both with the mass and also too, just because of the long layoff. I mean, it's one thing to practice in your backyard and do some training and such, but it's another thing, especially when you've been waiting so long and you have kind of that jitters to get back on the court, and now you're back, and it's like, oh, now we really got to get things into gear.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd say the first week of practice for us was just get back into the mode of things. Like it was a lot of just playing pickup and playing, getting back used to going up and down the court. For a while, that wasn't able to be done. And even when we were able to have four people and go play outside, the most you're playing is 2-on-2. So you're so not used to a 5-on-5 setting. So yeah, it was just a lot of like getting back in the mojo of things, getting back into shape, cardio especially, and just working on communicating with Mass.
Now, during your practice time, now I apologize, not familiar with your playing style and kind of what is your strength, but defense looks like that is your strength. Is that something that is ahead of your shooting as of right now?
Yes, I
Okay.
would say I specialize in defense.
So because of that, do you think in some ways that, not to say that you worked, and I'm sure you worked harder than anybody. I'm sure every player on the Simsbury program can say that. But do you think because the offensive side is not your strength and defense is a lot kind of easier to practice, and as long as you're in shape, that's already half the battle, if not more. Do you think kind of you were more prepared for not just a elongated season, but also, okay, as soon as we can, right into games?
Exactly. Yeah, I would say I definitely was prepared. I think in COVID, I had to work on getting my mental game better with defense. And so I really wanted to focus on like knowing like how to guard a person and how to learn from when I get beat from a play. And so that was really my adjustment over the off season and with COVID and how to deal with that.
Has defense, I know I'm going back here. I know I was going forward, now I'm going back. Has defense kind of always been something that you have either focused or just something that you've been more confident? I'm not saying you're confident in your offensive game. I'm sure you are. But it sounds like to me that the defensive side is something that's been with you going back to, like you mentioned, in kindergarten.
Yeah. I love defense. That's what I'm confident in because I know that's how I can help my team and that is my strength. And as it's so nice that I know for defensively I can be there for my team and so much of the time my team is there for me because when I go out and guard some of the best players in the state, like they're going to get by me a couple of times and it's so nice that this Simsbury program which emphasizes defense, like I know my players are going to be there to help me. So, yeah.
And that was that was a little bit of a thumbs up to Coach Zula right there, giving him a little bit of
Definitely.
a little shout out there.
Defense, Simsbury emphasizes defense, the culture of it. If you
Mm.
don't play as hard as you can on defense, you're going to find yourself sitting. So,
And that's Coach Zulo, and I've had him on the podcast a couple times, and he has raved about a lot, if not all, the players in his program. And also, he's a great, and I could tell he brings the energy, but also too, he's passionate and he loves basketball. I mean, going
yes.
back to even his father, but just in general, as far as how and I could tell even just by talking with him, the way he teaches the game. It sounds like, and I'm not saying he dumbs it down to the lowest level, but he's able to break it down to where, all right, this player can understand it if I'm talking maybe a little bit more technical. But if this player
Yeah.
doesn't get it, then I can kind of say, all right, let's go step by step. Just stay with me here.
I owe so much of my defensive game, especially to him and our other assistant coaches, because he gives us a good game plan. We scout every team we can. We try to go into every game as prepared as we can. He gives me tips on how to guard certain players and how to be the best defender I can be on a certain player. So I owe so much of that to him.
And to not reveal the secret sauce as far as how you go about these, players, you were able to hold the state leading score from 34 points per game to 6, and then Enfield to only 4 as far as their top score. So, and you got a big smile. So I know you're like, yeah, I did that. That was me.
That
So,
was a proud moment, not gonna lie.
and no,
But
you
I
should be
mean,
proud of that.
yeah, that was one of the biggest team efforts I've been a part of. I mean, I get the credit for being the one guarding them, but every play I I could go and, try to like tip the ball or put some ball pressure on because I heard everyone behind me being like, I got your back, I got your help, I got your weak side. So
Mhm.
that was one of the best games, especially Connard with one of the leading scorers in the state. I give her so much credit for being such a good offense player, but it just felt so good to be able to play my game and have a good plan and have everyone behind me that was just like one of the highlights of my career.
And hey, it's hope I'm sure you're going to have many more of that. I mean, it's especially being such a good defender as you are. Now, the question I have for you as far as going up against a player like that, or just players in general who are the top scorers, going back to there's a player for Sacred Heart. His name is Steven Alsef. He's probably the best defender in the NVL, and I've kind of wondered how is he so good at being a defender. And from coaches I've talked to, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but he tells, or from what coaches have told me, is that he gets in their mind, he gets in their psyche, he talks smack. He'll say anything and everything as long as it's not insulting as far as the family members are concerned, but he tries to mess them up psychologically, because then when you get a player who is not happy, then they try to do extra, and when they do extra, that's when the turnovers happen.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say smack talk is a big part of my game. I'm still working on that one, but definitely getting in a player's head almost by being as calm as I can. Because if I show I'm not fazed by if they get one bucket or if they get past me, then that's a win for me, because now they're scared that I'm the calm one. So I'm in control. So that's a big part of my game. But
now, if you're going up against a player who, and I don't know your speed, so again, I apologize, but if you're going up against a player who has a lot of speed, what is again, not to release all of the secrets here from Simsbury, what is the game plan for you as far as if you're facing a player that is one of the elite athletes?
I definitely try to stay a step off if I can. And then if I get beat once, I adjust. And what I'll have a lot of help behind me. So I'll try to pressure them a little bit. And if they get behind me, boom, there's someone right there. So I also just try to look at the hips of every player, because someone can be shifty with their handle and everything like that, but they're not going anywhere without their hips. Mm-hmm. So I try to use that. And speed, it's all about learning a player's strengths, because especially in girls basketball, when someone becomes comfortable with a move and they know they make the move well, they'll tend to go to it multiple times in a game. So it's all about learning their little ticks and tacks of how they play and adjusting to that.
So it sounds like to me that, like you mentioned with the hips, because wherever the hips go, that's where the player is going to go more than likely. Exactly. I haven't seen a player where the hips go in this way and they go that way.
Yeah, but the ball handling, they can do, through the legs, crisscross, anything like that.
So you're not watching the basketball at all. You're watching their hips.
Yes.
Have you ever gotten caught where you've watched the basketball, or in a way where you've even watched their feet? Because I've even noticed with players in all the years I've been broadcasting where the feet do one thing, but the body does another thing.
Yeah, I used to get caught with that all the time, and now I've just learned this little trick for me, and it's helped so much. And a lot of it, I'm usually face guarding someone. So when they're off the ball, it's all just about like looking at them and knowing where they're going and tracking them down. So, yeah.
Is there any not offensive, but is there any defensive, like when press is on? Is that kind of for you like the highlight as far as you defensively? Because when there's a press, as you know, everybody's up front, and then you really can cause turnovers there.
Yeah. Our team hasn't pressed that much in the past. I mean, we're big into getting like a half court game. We're going to take you to the half court and we're going to play our lockdown defense and play our Simsbury way. So I haven't gotten much of an experience with a press, but I do love like when everyone's getting after it, because it's so fun when everyone just goes out there and whoever has the ball, like we're trying to steal it. Things get a little chaotic, but you get a steal and then it's so great. So yeah.
That's awesome to hear, seriously. Now, again, going back to looking at the offensive side, I understand your defense is top notch, probably one of the best in Connecticut. Has there ever been a game or, from the time you were a freshman until now where you kind of look back and said, oh, I wish I could score a little bit more. I wish I could have maybe done this, even if it was a win or a loss, regardless. Does it ever bother you as far as your offense is not at the same level as your defense? And again, I don't mean that in a insulting way.
Oh, I totally get it. I mean, 100%. I sometimes get in my own head because I know what I can contribute defensively, but I just want to help my team out as much as possible offensively. And sometimes it helps that when I'm not there offensively, I ramp it up on defense. So I try to just do the most that I can on one end and help people on the other end. I love making assists. I love getting people as open shots as I can. We have some great shooters on our team. I don't know if you know Kate Sullivan. She has one of the most 3 points in.
Yep.
She leads our school records in about the whole board of 3 points makes in a game and all the seasons. So yeah, so I guess offensively, I'm not sure I'm the best scorer, but I try to help out in different ways, getting different people different shots and doing what I can.
I would think that in a lot of ways, because of the way the team is constructed, you know your role. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were chucking up 15, 20 shots because of where your offense is right now, that's not going to help Simsbury. And I think to go back to what you said with Coach Zullo, who's the head coach of Simsbury for the Simsbury girls basketball program, and also the staff as well, to not, drill in your heads, hey, this is what we're doing, but to say, hey, you have a role, you know what to do, trust us and follow it. I think being able to have that spread through the entire program speaks to how successful, both in the past, the present, and I think the future for Simsbury as far as the girls basketball program is concerned.
Exactly. And it's so nice to be a part of a team. Like the entire team is so supportive to whatever aspect you can bring to the table. Whether it's you're a great passer, you're a great shooter, you're great at defense, or you're just a great teammate. I think just Simsbury basketball has helped me so much. Everyone's just so supportive in whatever you can do.
Now, is there a possibility that, college basketball, with you being a senior, is that something that is on the horizon for you? If you don't mind me asking.
So I've decided not to play college basketball, but I'm going to Providence where I know there's a club team. So I'm definitely going to join that and still stay engaged with basketball. But
That's awesome. I mean, hey, as long as you are happy where you picked, first and foremost, there's a reason why it's student athlete, not athlete student.
exactly.
You have to look at what's going to help you. I mean, I always refer this to everybody who I talk that's a player, and even some coaches back when they tell me about their playing days. I don't know if you're a baseball fan, but when Moneyball came about, and I remember the scout that, an actor was playing a scout, and he was talking to the parents when they were going through the whole spiel with Billy Bean or whoever it was.
Yeah.
And he said that, it doesn't matter if you're 14 or 40, we're all too old to play the child's game. And at some point, the path will end as far as playing. But
Exactly.
if you know ahead of time, like it seems like you're going to have an opportunity to be able to open up another door, and you still can play the game that you've loved since kindergarten.
Definitely. And another part I love about Simsbury basketball is there will be some people who used to play for Coach Zulo who come and just help out for practices. Or Bree Patria, one of our assistant coaches, used to play for him. So it's such a good atmosphere there that like players like me could come back and still be a part of the program. So I'm really excited for that.
I mean, you might as well get hired by an NFL team, the defensive coordinator over. I mean, seriously though, I mean, your defense, that is something that's, again, I don't know how much basketball you watch from WNBA to NBA to college, both on the men's and women's side. But I feel like defense is something that is starting to get lost in the game because now everything is 3-point shooting. I mean, I saw a kid yesterday shoot from half court and make it. And I'm like, what am I seeing?
What?
Like, what am I mean, I know he can make it from basically the other side of the court. But, the point I'm trying to make is the 3-point shot is becoming so much more prevalent. You're not seeing teams, utilize the big players who can, drive in the paint, but also too being able to utilize within that 3-point line.
Exactly. No, yeah. Offense is kind of taken over. That's why I'm so grateful you had me on because I'm a big advocate for defense. So I just hope like people like coaches like Coach Zula can keep emphasizing how important defense is. So yeah.
I think you will. And, if you ever do come back, and I think you will, I think it definitely will help, especially because of all the accolades that you've had. And I'm sure if you need some help as far as pushing that defense, just call up one of your teammates and say, swing by a practice real quick and teach these youngins what it means to play.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But hey, we've just about run out of time, but I really do appreciate you coming on. I do have one more question for you real quick. For however long this season goes between the regular season and I don't know, is the CCC going to have a potential tournament as far
Yes,
as
I think there is talk of potential tournament if the numbers stay down for COVID. So I'm really excited for that.
So if there is a potential for that, what can people expect from, and I probably a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What can people expect from you as far as from your next game until the end of the season, or for you guys, maybe a chance at a championship?
I'm I know for me and for my whole team, I can speak. We're going to bring it every game we can. We're going to bring our defense. We're going to try as hard as we can every single play because I know we're all just so happy to be having this season, and every game, every practice is not given right now. So we're just going to bring it 100% every time we can.
Perfect way to end it. I appreciate you so much being able to come on and being able to share your defensive wisdom, but also too you being the top performer for girls basketball in Connecticut. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That'll wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm on our journey to find them all. Have a good one, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.